Okay, today we're in section 2.4, variables and equations. We're starting a unit on solving equations. We are actually going to be solving equations all the way through section 3.3. All right, so for the next literally 9 lessons, which that's going to take us several weeks to get through, all we're doing is solving equations every which way you can think. All right, so we'll have one variable, we'll have two variables, we'll have 1 step, 2 steps, but we're starting basic today with words, okay, so vocabulary, what are my key words for different operations, and we're starting today solving equations using mental math, so there's not going to be a whole lot of work to show. All right, so, sorry, that's not for y'all. No pop quiz today. All right, so in example 1, we're writing verbal sentences as equations. The reason it's called a sentence is because it has an equal sign in it. Well, the first thing I need to be able to pick out is my operational keyword. What do I mean by that? How do I know whether I add, subtract, multiply, or divide? The key words in these sentences tell me. So in example 1a, does anybody see a key word that would tell me what operation it is? Fallon. Sum. Sum means what? It means addition. So I know that it's addition, but does my plus sign come first? No, it doesn't. My plus sign is inserted where I see the word and. Okay? So the sum of x and 6, x and 6 is 9. When you write this equation, you must write it with the variable. You say, well, Miss Kinder, I already know the answer. That's fine. You're solving these using mental math, but I need to first see an equation that includes the variable. All right, we'll go back and solve them in just a minute. What about number 2? What's my key word for number 2? Someone raise your hand and tell me. Samantha. Difference. Very good. Which means what, class? Subtraction. All right, so plug in difference in where you see the word and. Okay, and what would be my equation? Someone raise your hand. What would it be, Andrew?
12 minus y equals 9.
12 minus y equals 9. I've got my variable, I've got my equal sign, and I have my operation, which is subtraction. What about number 3? What's my key word, Jonadab? Product, which means what? Multiplication. So now, don't get tripped up though. How do I show multiplication in this equation? How am I going to show it? How do I show it, Alex?
Negative 4 times negative p in parentheses.
Okay, so he thinks that p needs to be in parentheses. Do you agree? How did I teach you to multiply a number and a variable? Do I need anything at all in the middle? No. A number and a variable right next to each other shows multiplication. If I substitute in a number for that variable, then I need parentheses. But a number and a variable together shows multiplication. So even though you see product, do not write a multiplication sign. Write the numbers together because that means multiplication. Don't write a dot, don't write an X, don't use parentheses. Just write them together. So the product of negative 4 in P is 32. All right, and then what about D? What's my key word? Class, what's my key word? Quotient. Someone raise your hand and tell me, how do I write that equation? Somebody new. Wame? No. How do I write that equation? Anybody else? Think they know? Emily, you sleeping on me back there? What you think? How would I write that equation? Jared?
N divided by 2 is 9.
Very good. N divided by 2 equals 9. Or I could say N with a division sign divided by 2 equals 9. Either way would be fine. As a fraction or just with a division symbol. So now let's go back to the first one. Now I want to go ahead and solve. All right, so on your homework tonight, there's going to be 2 steps. It's going to be to write it as an equation and then to solve. On number 1, it would be x equals what? What number plus 6 equals 9? 3. Very good. Yeah, brain fart. Okay, so x equals 3. 3 plus 6 equals 9. The only number that can make this equation true is 3. Any other number makes the equation not true. All right, what about B? 12 minus what number equals 9? I said it. Yes, 3. Y equals 3. Do you see how we're identifying the variable y equals? We're not just saying -3. Whoops, not negative. Just 3, because there's already a subtraction sign. Y equals 3. What about C? -4 times what number equals 32? Aria? She thinks 8. Do you agree?
No. -8.
She's close. Why does it have to be -8? Because 32 is positive. And in order to get a positive answer, I've got to multiply two negatives times each other. So P equals -8. All right, very common mistake. All right, now what number divided by 2 is 9? N equals 18. All right, so 2 steps here, guys. Write it as an equation and then solve for the variable. All right, so in example 2, I'm checking for possible solutions. I need you to pretend with me for a minute that you do not know what the solution to this equation is. Okay, here's our equation. I want you to write it in your notes. X minus 5 equals 2. And here's what it's asking us to do. It's asking us to test these 3 solutions into this equation. Okay, so we're plugging in 9, 7, and 15 in for x to see if it's a solution. So here's what I want to see on your homework tonight. I want to see the original equation, x minus 5 equals 2. I want to see your substitution. 9 minus 5 equals 2. What is 9 minus 5, class? 4 does not equal 2, so you say no. It is not a solution. 9 is not a solution. Again, I understand that this is somewhat easy, that you know that, but we're starting basic because it's very quickly going to get a lot more difficult. All right, so on B, I make the substitution again. All right, so I start with my original, x minus 5 equals 2. I make my substitution, 7 minus 5 equals 2. And then what's my answer? Yes. 2 equals 2, and I say yes. I want to see that both sides equal each other. Because if all you wrote is yes or no on your answer, that's as simple as flipping a coin. How do I know that you really know that the answer is yes? The only way I can know that is if you show me that both sides equal each other. Okay? So that's why that part is important. So what about 15? What's 15 minus 5? 10. So does 10 equal 2? No. So then you would show me that the exact same way. Original equation, substitution, box, simplified answer, answer yes or no, and you're good to go. All right, so now let's do a little bit of classwork. On the first 2, I want you to write them as an equation and then solve. On the third one, I want you to test both solutions and which one is the correct solution. All right, on A, what is my equation? What's my equation? Someone raise your hand. What is it? Eric.
3 plus Z equals -10.
Very good. 3 plus Z equals -10. And Z equals what, class?
13.
-13. It's got to be -13 to get me down to -10. On B, it should be M divided by 6 equals 4. So M equals what? 24. On C, I need to substitute both values. I need to substitute a 5 into the equation, and I need to substitute a -5 into the equation. And I can clearly see, yes, that -5 is the solution, 40 equals 40. All right, so -5 is the solution. All right, now in example 3, Now I have the equation written for me. I just need to tell what the variable equals. So on 3a, x equals what? Yes, on 3a, x equals 8. So here's what I don't want to see. This. Is that true? Yes, but that's not how I want the answer. Every year I deal with this. They say, well, I just wrote in the answer and boxed it in. I want you to tell me, though, don't do that. I want you to tell me x equals 8. That's all you have to do. This is mental math here. There's no work to show. All you write is the original problem, and then you box your answer. X equals 8. Don't just say 8. Say x equals 8. So on B, 16 minus what number equals 9? So M equals 7. Go ahead and solve C and D. All right, Jared, what'd you get for C?
I got T equals 4.
T equals 4. What about D? What about D? What'd you get, Aliana? Very good. Y equals negative 18. How did she know it needed to be negative? How did she know that? Because the answer is negative, 6 is positive, so in order to get to a negative answer, 18 has to be negative. So y equals negative 18. Now, in the last example, I want you to turn in your books to page 86, the bottom of page 86. Okay, so I'm going to read the example. It says, go-kart rides cost $5 each at a county fair. During the first day of the fair, the go-kart operator takes in a total of $1,000. How many times did the people ride the go-karts that day? Here's the instructions. Write and solve an equation to find the answer. You need an equation. So what has to be in an equation? What do you have to have? Variable, numbers, an operation, and an equal sign. Okay, so let's break it down. I know I need an equal sign. So what number would go on one side of the equal sign? Okay. So I want you to think about it and try to piece it together. What number goes on one side of the equal sign? What number or numbers or variables or operations go on the other side of the equal sign? What connects them together? How could you use the information they give you to get to your answer? Okay, you've got to write an equation first and then try to solve. I want to give you a minute to try to do it, and then we're going to talk about it. What's my total? $1,000. How much does one ticket cost? $5. So how could I get from 5 to my answer of 1,000? Would I add the variable? Would I subtract it? Would I multiply it or divide it? What do you think? I need to multiply. To get to the answer, I multiply. But to find out the value of my variable, I must divide. Okay? So it's important that you keep that straight. I do need to multiply to get to 1,000. I don't divide 5 by anything to get to 1,000. I multiply it. But to find out what that number is, I have to do 1,000 divided by 5. And what do I get? 200 times. So that's how many times somebody rode that ride, so they earned $1,000 from that ride. All right, if you understand that, that's everything you need to know for 2.4.
Thanks.